Deho woke up slowly. His head hurt badly and his mouth felt dry. The air around him smelled strange, like metal and something he could not name. He tried to move, but his arms felt heavy. When he opened his eyes, everything looked blurry at first. He was lying in some kind of clear container filled with blue liquid. Tubes were connected to his arms and chest. The liquid made his skin tingle, but it did not hurt. Above him, strange lights blinked on and off in patterns he did not understand. Where was he? The last thing he remembered was the loud noise of metal breaking and people screaming. His colony ship had been attacked while they traveled to their new home planet. The enemy ships came from nowhere and started shooting. Most people died quickly, but some were taken away. Now he was here, wherever here was. Footsteps came closer. Two tall figures walked up to his container. They did not look human at all. Their skin was gray and smooth, and they had 4 arms each. Their eyes were big and yellow like cat eyes, but much larger. One of them touched something on the wall and the blue liquid started to drain away. The container opened with a soft hiss. Cold air hit his wet skin and made him shiver. The gray beings helped him sit up. His legs felt weak, like he had been sleeping for a very long time. "Can you understand us?" one of them asked. The voice came from a small device on its chest, not from its mouth. The words sounded strange, but he could understand them. "Yes," Deho said. His voice came out as a whisper. "Where am I?" "You are safe now," the other one said. "We are Kira and Nal. We took you away from the bad place. You have been sleeping for many days while your body got better." Deho looked around the room. It was small and clean, with white walls and more blinking lights. Everything looked like it was made by people who thought very differently from humans. The shapes were all wrong and the colors hurt his eyes a little. "The bad place?" he asked. Kira moved closer. She was a little smaller than Nal, and her yellow eyes seemed kinder somehow. "The Vexitar had you. They are very cruel people. They hurt others to learn things. We found you in their testing place." The words hit him like cold water. Testing place. He remembered now. After the attack on his ship, he woke up in a dark room with other humans. Every day the Vextar took some people away. Those people never came back. He heard screaming sometimes, but he tried not to listen. "How long was I there?" he asked. 3 months, Nal said. "You were hurt very badly when we found you. Most people would have died from what they did to you, but you lived. Humans are very strong, we think." 3 months. Deho felt sick. "What about the others, the other humans who were with me?" Kira and Nal looked at each other. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. "We are sorry," Kira finally said. "We could only save you. The others were already gone when we got there." Gone. The word felt heavy in his chest. All those people from his colony ship, men, women, children who just wanted to start a new life on a different planet. All dead because some aliens wanted to test things on them. "Why did you save me?" Deho asked. "You said you could only save one person. Why me?" Nal sat down on a chair that looked too small for his long body. "We were not supposed to save anyone. We came to look at the Vextar place and learn their secrets. But when we saw you still fighting to live after everything they did, we could not leave you there. You fought them even when you could not win," Kira added. "The other humans gave up after a while, but you never stopped trying to escape. Even when you were too weak to stand, you still tried to break free. We have never seen anything like that." Deho did not feel brave. He felt tired and sad and angry. "I just wanted to go home." "Where is your home?" Nal asked. "Earth, but our home there was getting too crowded and the air was getting bad. So we decided to find a new planet to live on. We were going to call it New Sol." His voice broke a little when he said it. Now there is no one left to name it. Kira touched a button on the wall and a screen appeared in the air. It showed a map of stars and planets. "We want to help you get back to your people, but first we need to ask you some questions. The Vextar are planning something very bad. We think they want to hurt many different kinds of people, not just humans. What kind of questions? About your people? About how many humans there are and where they live? The Vextar took other human ships too, not just yours. We need to know how big this problem is. Other ships. More humans in Vextar hands. Daiho felt his stomach turn cold. How many other ships? Nal looked at his screen. We think maybe 12 ships over the past 5 years. Each ship had many thousands of people. The number was too big to understand at first. Thousands and thousands of humans, all taken by the Vextar. All probably dead now, like the people from his ship. We have to help them, Daiho said. We cannot, Kira said sadly. The Vextar are too strong. They have many ships and many soldiers. We are peaceful people. We do not fight wars. Then more humans will die. Yes. We are sorry, but there is nothing we can do. Daiho looked at these strange beings who had saved his life. They seemed kind, but they did not understand. You do not leave people behind when they need help. That was not how humans worked. Tell me about the Vextar, he said. Tell me everything you know. For the next few hours, Kira and Nal told him about the enemy. The Vextar Empire controlled 40 star systems. They had thousands of warships and millions of soldiers. They believed that they were better than all other life forms, so they could do whatever they wanted to anyone else. But as they talked, Daiho started to notice things. The Vextar were strong, but they were also predictable. They always did things the same way. They never expected other people to fight back in new ways, and they were so sure they were the best that they often made mistakes. You said I was in a testing place, Daiho said. What were they testing? Diseases, Nal said. They make sicknesses that can kill specific types of people. They test them on prisoners to see if they work. They want to kill entire planets without fighting, Kira added. Just make everyone sick and wait for them to die. A cold feeling grew in Daiho's chest. What happens when they finish making these diseases? They will use them on worlds that have things they want, probably our worlds too, eventually. So this was bigger than just humans being killed. The Vextar wanted to kill everyone who was not like them, and they were using his people as test subjects to figure out how to do it. I need to get back to the other humans they captured, Daiho said. That is impossible, Nal said. You would die, and it would not help anyone. Maybe, but I have to try. Kira studied his face with her big yellow eyes. Why? Why would you want to go back to that terrible place? Daiho thought about it. How could he explain it to people who thought so differently? Because they are my people. Because no one should be left alone in a place like that. Because if I do not try to help them, who will? The two aliens looked at each other again. Something passed between them that Daiho could not understand. Rest now, Kira said finally. Your body is still healing. We will talk more tomorrow. They left him alone in the small white room. Daiho lay back down on the strange bed. He was safe for now, but somewhere out there, thousands of humans were still trapped by the Vextar. Still being tested on. Still dying. He would find a way. To help them, he had to. The next morning, Daiho felt much stronger. His body did not hurt as much and his mind was clearer. Kira brought him food that looked strange but tasted good enough. While he ate, she watched him with those big yellow eyes. You heal very fast, she said. Most people would still be very sick after what the Vextar did to you. What exactly did they do to me? Daiho asked. Many things. They put poisons in your blood to see how long you would live. They broke bones to see how they would grow back. They hurt your organs to test how much damage humans can survive. Kira's voice was quiet. We do not understand how you are still alive. Daiho felt sick thinking about it, but he was not surprised. He remembered some of the pain, even though they had given him drugs to make him forget. How many other humans are still alive in their testing places? We think maybe 200,000, but we are not sure. 200,000 people. The number was so big it was hard to imagine. All of them trapped, all of them suffering like he had suffered. I need to talk to your leaders, Daeho said. Why? Because you said the Vextar want to kill your people too. This is not just about humans anymore. We need to work together. Later that day, Kira and Nal took him to see their commander. The ship they were on was huge, much bigger than any human ship Daeho had ever seen. They walked through long hallways filled with more gray-skinned people, who stopped to stare at him as he passed. Commander Minho was older than the others, with white marks on his gray skin that might have been scars. He sat behind a desk that floated in the air without touching anything. When Daeho walked in, Minho studied him for a long time without speaking. So you are the human, Minho finally said. Kira and Nal tell me you want to rescue your people from the Vextar. Yes, sir. That is impossible. The Vextar are too strong. We cannot fight them. Daeho had expected this answer. Can I show you something? Minho nodded. Daeho walked to the floating desk and put his hands on it. It was warm and seemed to be made of some kind of metal he did not recognize. Your people are peaceful, Daeho said. You think about problems in peaceful ways. But sometimes peaceful ways do not work. Sometimes you need to think like someone who is used to fighting. And you think humans know how to fight? We know how to survive. We have been fighting each other and our planet and everything else for thousands of years. We know how to win when we should lose. Minho leaned back in his chair. Tell me what you know about the Vextar testing places. For the next hour, Daeho told them everything he remembered. The layout of the building where he had been kept. How many guards there were and when they changed shifts. What kind of weapons they carried. How they moved prisoners from place to place. But more importantly, he told them about the other humans. They keep us in groups, he said. Maybe 50 people in each room. They want us to fight each other for food, but we do not do that. We share everything. We take care of the sick ones. We remember the names of everyone who dies. Even when you were being tortured, Nal asked. Especially then. When everything else is taken away from you, your people are all you have left. Minho touched something on his desk and more screens appeared in the air. They showed maps and numbers and pictures of Vextar ships. Even if we wanted to help, Minho said, we do not have enough ships to fight the Vextar. They have 40 fleets. We have 3. You do not need to fight all of them, Daeho said. You just need to get to the testing places, which are protected by their strongest defenses. Are they? Or are they just protected by defenses that work against the kind of attacks you would make? Minho frowned. What do you mean? Daeho thought about how to explain it. You are thinking like people who fight in space with big ships. But what if we do not fight in space? What if we get inside their defenses first? How? I do not know yet. But I know it can be done. Because they did not expect you to rescue me. They think they know how everyone else thinks, but they do not know how humans think. Another person entered the room. This one was female with the same gray skin but smaller than the others. She moved quickly and seemed worried about something. Commander, she said, we just received a message from the Vextar Empire. What kind of message? Minho asked. They know we took the human. They are demanding that we return him immediately, or they will consider it an act of war. The room became very quiet. Daeho could feel everyone looking at him. They cannot start a war just because you saved one person, he said. Yes, they can, the female said. I am Yuna, the chief diplomat. The Vextar start wars for much smaller reasons than this. If we do not give you back to them, they will attack our worlds. How long do we have? Minho asked. 3 days. Daeho felt his heart sink. After everything, after being rescued, he was going to be sent back to the Vexitar, back to the testing place, back to torture and death. There has to be another way, he said. There is no other way, Yuna said. I am sorry, but we cannot risk millions of our people for one human. What if it was not just one human? Daeho asked. What if it was all of them? What do you mean? The Vextar are making diseases to kill your people. You said so yourself. They are going to attack you anyway when they finish their tests. The only question is whether you fight them now. when you might have a chance, or later when they are ready for you. Minho stood up and walked to one of the screens. It showed a map of all the star systems controlled by different groups. The Vextar Empire was much bigger than all the others. Even if you are right, he said, we still cannot win a war against them. Maybe you cannot win a war, but maybe you can win a rescue. What is the difference? Deho pointed at the map. A war means you have to beat all of their ships and take all of their planets. A rescue means you just have to get to the testing places, take the humans, and leave. They will still try to stop us. Of course they will. But they will not expect us to only want the humans. They will think we are trying to start a war, so they will defend the wrong places. Yuna shook her head. It is still too dangerous. Too many of our people would die. How many of your people will die if the Vextar finish making their diseases? We do not know. All of them, Deho said quietly. Every person on every world you control. Because that is what the Vextar do. They do not just conquer people. They eliminate them. Minho was quiet for a long time. He stared at the map, then at Deho, then at the map again. Let us say we tried. This rescue, he said finally. How many humans could we save? All of them. That is impossible. We do not even know where they all are. I can find them. How? Deho had been thinking about this since he woke up. Humans are good at talking to each other, even when we are not supposed to. In the testing place, we found ways to send messages between rooms. Some of the people there had been captured from other ships. They told us about other testing places. You've been talking to humans in other facilities? Kira asked. Not directly, but information moves. Someone escapes for a few hours before they are caught. Someone gets moved from one place to another. Word spreads. Deho looked at all of them. We know where our people are, and we know how to get to them. Even if that is true, Yuna said, we would need the approval of the council. They would never agree to this. Then ask them, Deho said. Tell them that the Vextar are going to kill them anyway. Tell them that this might be their only chance to stop it. Tell them that one human is asking for their help to save his people, and in return we will help save theirs. Minho walked back to his desk. And if the council says no? Deho met his eyes. Then give me a small ship, and I will go alone. You would die? Probably. But I would die trying to save my people instead of running away from them. That is what humans do. The room was quiet again. Yuna and Minho looked at each other, having some kind of conversation with their eyes that Deho could not understand. We will ask the council, Minho said finally. But do not expect them to say yes. They are not used to making decisions this dangerous. Thank you, Deho said. That is all I can ask for. As they left the commander's office, Kira walked beside him through the long hallways. Do you really think you can save all of them? She asked. I do not know, Deho said honestly. But I know I have to try, because if I do not, who will? The council meeting took place on a space station bigger than any city Deho had ever seen. Representatives from dozens of different worlds came to hear his request. Some looked like Kira and Nal, but others were completely different. There were beings made of crystal, others that looked like walking plants, and some that seemed to be made of pure energy. Deho stood in the center of a huge round room while hundreds of alien eyes stared at him. He had never felt so small and alone in his life, but he thought about the humans still trapped in Vextar testing places, and he found his courage. My name is Deho, he began. 3 months ago, the Vextar captured my colony ship. They killed 50,000 humans and used us for experiments. I am the only survivor from my ship, but there are 200,000 more humans in their hands right now. A being that looked like a walking tree raised one of its branches. Why should we risk our people for yours? We did not start this war. Because it is not just about humans anymore, Deho said. The Vextar are using us to make diseases that will kill all of you. They are not just testing on humans because they hate us. They are testing on us because we are similar enough to you that the diseases will work on you too. Murmurs filled the room. Many of the council members started talking to each other in languages Daeho could not understand. A crystal being spoke next. Its voice sounded like breaking glass. Even if this is true, we cannot defeat the Vextar Empire in battle. They are too strong. I am not asking you to defeat them, Daeho said. I am asking you to help me rescue my people. We do not need to win a war. We just need to get in, take the humans, and get out. Impossible, said another voice. Their testing facilities are heavily guarded. Daeho had prepared for this. Over the past week, he had worked with Kira and Nal to study everything the Council knew about Vextar defenses. He had found weaknesses that no one else had noticed. May I show you something? He asked. The Council leader, an ancient being covered in what looked like metal scales, nodded. Screens appeared in the air around Daeho, showing maps and diagrams. You have been thinking about this wrong, Daeho said. You see the testing facilities as military targets, so you think about military solutions. But they are not really military targets. They are science buildings with some guards. They have planetary defense systems, the tree-like being said. Yes, to stop attacks from space, but what if we do not attack from space? Daeho touched one of the screens and it showed a detailed map of a Vextar testing facility. The humans inside these places are not just prisoners. We have been watching our captors for months. We know their schedules, their weaknesses, their mistakes. We have been planning ways to escape. Have any humans actually escaped? Asked the crystal being. A few for short periods. They were always caught again, but they learned things, and they shared what they learned with the rest of us. Daeho looked around the room. What I am proposing is not a rescue where you save helpless victims. It is a coordinated breakout where the humans inside help from within while you help from outside. The room became very quiet. Daeho could see that some of the council members were starting to understand what he meant. You want to turn the prisoners into soldiers, the council leader said. I want to turn victims into survivors. Humans do not stay helpless for long, even in the worst situations. Give us a chance to fight back, and we will take it. A new voice spoke from the back of the room. What about the diseases they are developing? If we attack their facilities, they might release them. They might, Daeho agreed. But they are going to release them anyway when they are finished with their tests. At least this way you have a chance to stop them before they are ready. How do you know they will use the diseases? Another voice asked. Because that is what the Vextar do. They do not just want to control other worlds, they want to eliminate everyone who is not like them. They told us this while they were torturing us. They wanted us to know that our deaths would help them kill our families and friends. The council members talked among themselves for a long time. Daeho waited, trying to look calm, even though his heart was beating fast. Everything depended on this moment. Finally, the council leader spoke again. The vote is close, but we have decided to approve a limited rescue operation. However, we cannot risk our main fleet. You will have volunteers, only, and a small number of ships. Daeho felt relief flood through him. Thank you. That is all I need. Do not thank us yet, the leader said. Many of our people think this is suicide. Do not expect more than a few volunteers. But the leader was wrong. Over the next few days, hundreds of volunteers came forward. Captain Sue, who had lost her homeworld to Vextar attacks years ago. Pilot Tae, whose parents were killed in a Vextar raid. Demolitions expert Hyun, who wanted revenge for her destroyed planet. Engineer Wu, who had been a Vextar prisoner himself and escaped during a transport crash. Each volunteer had their own reason for joining, but they all shared something in common. They had been hurt by the Vextar and they wanted to fight back. Daeho worked with them to plan the mission. It was more complex than anything the Council had ever attempted. They would attack 3 different testing facilities at the same time, using small, fast ships that could avoid the main defenses. But the real key to the plan was the humans inside the facilities. I need to get a message to them, Daeho told Captain Sue. They need to know we are coming so they can be ready. How? We cannot get close enough to send a normal message. Daeho had been thinking about this problem for days. Wu said he escaped during a transport, right? That means the Vextar move prisoners between facilities sometimes. Yes, but so what? So we capture one of their transport ships. We put someone inside who can carry a message to the humans. That is very dangerous. If the Vextar discover the spy, they will kill all the prisoners. Not if the spy is someone they would never suspect. Sue frowned. What do you mean? Me. I volunteer to go back. Absolutely not, Kira said when she heard the plan. You just escaped from there. We will not send you back. It has to be me, Deho explained. I know the layout of at least one facility. I know some of the humans there, and most importantly, I know how to talk to them without the Vextar understanding. Even if you could get the message to them, how would you get out again? I would not need to get out. I would help coordinate the breakout from inside. Null shook his head. That is suicide. Maybe. But it gives us the best chance of saving everyone. It took 3 more days to convince them, but finally, Captain Sue agreed to the plan. They would capture a Vextar transport ship, hide Deho, inside it, and let the Vextar take him back to a testing facility. Once inside, he would organize the humans and prepare them for the rescue. The night before the mission, Deho could not sleep. He stood in the observation deck of their ship, looking out at the stars. Somewhere among those points of light, his people were waiting. Some of them might be dying right now, while he was safe and free. Kira found him there. Are you afraid? She asked. Yes, Deho said honestly. But not of dying. I am afraid of failing. I am afraid that we will try this and not be able to save them. We will save them, Kira said. You have taught us something important. What is that? That sometimes the right thing to do is also the impossible thing to do. And sometimes, if you try hard enough, impossible things become possible. The next morning, their small fleet moved toward Vextar space. They were 50 ships against an empire of thousands. They were volunteers against professional soldiers. They were people who had never worked together before, trying to do something that had never been done. But they had something the Vextar did not expect. A human who understood both sides of the fight, and 200,000 humans waiting for someone to give them a chance to be free. As they approached their target, Deho prepared to go back to the place that had been his nightmare for 3 months. But this time, he was not going as a prisoner. He was going as hope. Remember, Captain Sue said over the radio, you have exactly 6 hours from the time we drop you off. After that, we attack whether you are ready or not. I understand, Deho said. 6 hours to convince 200,000 people to risk everything for freedom. Can you do it? Deho thought about the humans he had left behind. About their strength and their refusal to give up. About the way they had taken care of each other even in the worst place he could imagine. Yes, he said. They have been ready for this their whole lives. They just did not know it yet. The captured Vextar transport ship looked exactly like the one that had brought Deho to the testing facility months ago. Same dark metal walls, same cold air, same smell of fear and pain. But this time, he was not a helpless prisoner. This time, he carried hope. Wu had done excellent work disguising the ship. From the outside, it looked like any other Vextar vessel. The real transport crew was unconscious in their sleep chambers, and Wu was piloting using their access codes. To any watching sensors, this was just another routine prisoner delivery. Deho lay in the prisoner compartment, hands bound with fake restraints that he could break easily. Hidden in his clothes were small communication devices that looked like pieces of torn fabric. He had memorized detailed plans of all 3 target facilities and the timing for the coordinated attack. Approaching Facility Prime, Wu said quietly through the hidden speaker, Remember, you have 6 hours from touchdown. I remember, Deho whispered back. The ship landed with a soft thud. Deho heard the familiar sound of Vextar guards boarding, their heavy footsteps echoing through the metal corridors. His heart raced, but he forced himself to stay calm. He was not the same person who had been captured months ago. He was stronger now, and he was not alone. Just one prisoner this time? A guard asked in the harsh Vextar language. Special case, Wu replied, using the voice recording they had prepared. Escaped prisoner, recaptured. Dr. Bex wants him back in his original cell block. The guards dragged Deho from the ship. The testing facility looked exactly as he remembered it: gray walls, harsh lights, and the constant sound of humming machinery. But now he saw it differently. He saw weak points in the security, patterns in the guard rotations, opportunities that he had not noticed before. They threw him into a cell block that held about 40 other humans. The room was long and narrow, with sleeping mats along both walls. The humans looked up when he entered, their faces showing the same mixture of hope and despair he remembered so well. But one face was different. A woman with short black hair and intelligent eyes stepped forward. She looked at him carefully as if trying to remember something. "You are Daeho," she said quietly. "From the transport ship, Bright Future." "Yes. How do you know that?" "Word travels. We heard that one of us escaped. Some people said it was impossible, but I knew it was true. I am Hana. I was the administrator for Colony Ship Dawn Star." Hana. Daeho remembered hearing about her through the prisoner network. She had kept her people organized and hopeful even after months of captivity. She was exactly the person he needed to find. "I did not just escape," he whispered, moving closer so the guards could not hear. "I came back." Hana's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "Help is coming. We have allies on the outside, but we need to be ready to fight when they arrive." "Fight? With what?" "They took everything from us." Daeho looked around the cell block. The other humans had moved closer, listening to their conversation. He saw engineers, soldiers, teachers, farmers, people with different skills but all with the same determination to survive. "Tell me about this facility," he said to Hana. "What have you learned since you have been here?" For the next hour, Hana and the others shared everything they knew: the guard schedules, the layout of the building, the location of the weapons, storage, the number of Vextar personnel. But most importantly, they told him about the other humans. "There are 1,200 of us in this facility," Hana said. "Spread across 30 cell blocks. Most of the people are still strong enough to fight, but some are too sick from the experiments." "What about communication between blocks?" "Limited. The guards move us around sometimes for different tests. We pass messages when we can, but it is dangerous." "Not anymore," Daeho said. He pulled one of the hidden communication devices from his clothes. "This will let us talk to people in other blocks without the guards knowing." Hana stared at the small device. "How?" "I told you we have allies. They gave us tools." Daeho looked around at all the faces watching him. "But tools are not enough. We need to be ready to act when the signal comes." "What signal?" "The power will go out for exactly 10 seconds, then come back on. When that happens, we fight." A man near the back of the group spoke up. "Fight how? They have weapons and armor. We have nothing." "We have something they do not expect," Daeho said. "We have each other, and we know this place better than they think we do." He spent the next 4 hours moving through the facility. The Vextar guards thought he was just another broken prisoner being moved for testing, but he was actually carrying messages and instructions to every human in the building. In cell block 7, he found Jun, a young engineer who had been captured from a research ship. Jun had been secretly studying the facility systems for weeks. "I know how to disable their internal defenses," Jun whispered, "but I need someone to get me to the main control room." "When the power goes out, that will be your chance," Daeho told him. "The guards will be confused for a few seconds. That is all the time you need." In cell block 15, he met a group of former soldiers who had been keeping themselves in fighting shape despite their captivity. Their leader was a tough woman named Sul who reminded him of Captain Su. "We can take the armory," Sul said, "but we need a distraction to get there." "The distraction will be everything else happening at the same time," Daeho said. "When this starts, it will not be a secret." By the time he returned to his original cell block, Daeho had spoken to representatives from every group of humans in the facility. They all knew the plan. They all knew their part. And despite everything they had been through, they were all ready to fight. "Do you really think this will work?" Hana asked as they waited for the signal. "I think we have a chance," Daeho said honestly. "And sometimes a chance is all you need." Outside the facility, Captain Sue and her volunteer fleet were approaching. They had been monitoring Vextar communications and knew that 3 facilities were about to be hit simultaneously. The Vextar had detected some of their ships and were scrambling defenses, but they did not know exactly what was happening. "All ships, prepare for synchronized attack," Sue said over the radio. "Remember, our job is to create chaos on the outside, while the humans create chaos on the inside. We do not need to win a battle. We just need to give them a chance to escape." At exactly the planned time, Wu fired an electromagnetic pulse at the facility's power grid. The lights went out for 10 seconds, then came back on. To the Vextar guards, it looked like a minor system glitch. To the humans, it was the beginning of freedom. Jun was already moving before the lights came back on. He had memorized the path to the control room and knew exactly which guards would be where. In the darkness, he slipped past 2 confused sentries and reached the main computer terminal. His fingers flew over the alien keyboard. He had been watching the guards use these systems for months, learning their procedures and their passwords. Within 30 seconds, he had disabled the internal security doors and the automated defense systems. Throughout the facility, cell doors began opening. The Vextar guards thought it was a malfunction and rushed to fix it manually. They never suspected that their prisoners had planned for this moment. Sul and her fighters reached the armory just as the first alarm began sounding. The guards there were looking toward the main building, trying to understand what was happening. Sul's team took them down quickly and quietly, then began distributing weapons to the other humans. In the main laboratory where the disease research was conducted, Hana led a group of humans in destroying every sample and every computer file they could find. Years of Vextar research went up in flames in minutes, but the Vextar were not defenseless. As the facility's commander realized what was happening, he began coordinating a counterattack. Armed soldiers poured into the building, ready to kill every human rather than let them escape. That was when the real battle began. The humans fought like nothing the Vextar had ever seen. They used their knowledge of the building against their captors, setting traps and ambushes in corridors they knew by heart. They protected the wounded and carried those who could not walk. They never left anyone behind. But the Vextar had superior numbers and weapons. Slowly, the humans were being pushed back toward the center of the facility. They were running out of ammunition and places to hide. That was when Captain Sue's ships arrived. The volunteer fleet came in low and fast, their weapons targeting the facility's external defenses. But instead of trying to destroy the building, they created openings for the humans to escape through. "All humans, this is Captain Sue." Her voice echoed through the facility's communication system. "Move to the south wall. We are opening an exit for you." Explosive charges blasted holes in the building's outer wall. Fresh air and sunlight poured into the facility for the first time in months. The humans ran toward freedom, carrying their wounded with them. Daeho was one of the last to leave. He had found the facility's main computer and was downloading every file he could find about other testing sites and Vextar plans. This information would be crucial for rescuing the humans at other facilities. As he ran toward the exit, a Vextar officer stepped into his path. It was the same officer who had overseen many of his torture sessions. The alien raised his weapon, hatred burning in his dark eyes. The rescue of Facility Prime had worked better than anyone dared to hope. All 1,200 humans were evacuated safely, and the critical research data was destroyed. But it was only the beginning. News of the successful breakout spread through Vextar space like wildfire. The Empire's leaders were furious that primitive humans and their weak allies had humiliated them. Supreme Commander Bora issued an ultimatum. Return all escaped humans immediately, or face total war. But the freed humans had a different message for their captors. "Tell Bora that we are coming for the rest of our people," Daeho said as he stood on the bridge of Captain Sue's flagship. Around him, the rescued humans and their alien allies were planning the next phase of their mission. The success at Facility Prime had changed everything. Volunteers were arriving from dozens of worlds, inspired by what they had seen. Engineers offered new ship designs. Soldiers brought advanced weapons. Scientists shared intelligence about Vextar weaknesses. But most importantly, the humans themselves had become a force that no one had expected. Hana had taken charge of organizing the rescued humans into an effective fighting unit. Jun worked with alien engineers to design new weapons and tactics. Sol trained mixed units of humans and aliens in combat techniques that neither species could have developed alone. "We know where 11 more facilities are located," Hana reported, to the Command Council. "Each one holds between 1 and 5,000 humans, but Bora is moving fast to strengthen their defenses. He is also accelerating the disease research," added Dr. Kang, a scientist who had been rescued from Facility Prime. "Before we attacked, they were testing slowly and carefully. Now they are rushing to finish their weapons." Captain Su studied the tactical displays floating around them. "We cannot hit all 11 facilities at once. We do not have enough ships." "Then we hit the most important ones first," Daeho said. "The central research facility where they are developing the diseases. If we can destroy that, we stop their ability to threaten other worlds." "That facility is on Vextar Prime, their capital world," Nal pointed out. "It is protected by their entire home fleet." "Good," said Sul, who had become the leader of the human military units. "That means all their ships will be in one place. They cannot protect the other facilities if they are all defending their homeworld." The plan that emerged was audacious even by human standards. While a small force attacked Vextar Prime and drew their fleet away, larger rescue teams would hit 8 other facilities simultaneously. It would require perfect timing and incredible luck, but it was their best chance to save everyone. The night before the operation, Daeho walked through the ship where the rescued humans were preparing. In one section, families who had been separated were reunited for the first time in months. In another, people who had given up hope were now making weapons and planning battles. He found Hana in the communications center, coordinating with human resistance groups in the remaining facilities. "How many of them know we are coming?" he asked. "All of them. The word has spread through every prison. They are ready." Hana looked up from her console. "Daeho, some of them have been captives for years. They are not the same people they were when they were taken." "None of us are the same people we were," Daeho replied. "But we are still human, that is what matters." The final battle began at dawn on 3 different worlds. Captain Su led the diversionary attack on Vextar Prime with 50 ships making as much noise as possible to draw attention. The Vextar home fleet responded exactly as planned, rushing to defend their capital. While the space battle raged above Vextar Prime, 8 other rescue operations launched simultaneously across the Empire. Each team included both human fighters and alien specialists, working together in ways that surprised even themselves. At Facility Gamma, Pilot Tay led a group of fast attack ships in a surgical strike that disabled the defenses before the guards knew they were under attack. The human prisoners, led by a former engineer named Chan, had already prepared explosives using chemicals from the laboratory. The facility was in human hands within 30 minutes. At Facility Delta, demolitions expert Hyun used her skills to collapse the main gate while human prisoners created diversions throughout the building. A young human named Ray, who had been a military officer before her capture, coordinated the internal assault with precision that impressed even the alien commandos. But the most challenging target was the central research facility on Vextar Prime itself. While the space battle drew the fleet away, a small team led by Daeho and June infiltrated the planet's surface. The research facility was built deep underground, protected by layers of security that had never been breached. But they had advantages the Vextar had not anticipated. "The humans in this facility have been here longer than any others," June explained as they approached the hidden entrance. "Some of them have been prisoners for 3 years. They know every detail of this place." The infiltration was made possible by Yeo, a human scientist who had been captured while studying alien diseases. She had spent 2 years pretending to cooperate with her captors while secretly learning everything about their research. When Daeho's team arrived, she was ready with detailed plans and inside access. "The main research lab is 7 levels down," Yo whispered as she led them through service tunnels that the guards never used. "But there are humans on every level. We need to get them all out." The rescue of the central facility became a running battle through 7 levels of underground laboratories. Human prisoners who had been planning this moment for years emerged from their cells with improvised weapons and detailed knowledge of Vextar weak points. But Supreme Commander Bora had one final desperate card to play. As the humans and their allies fought their way through the facility, Bora activated the emergency protocols. Rather than let the research be destroyed, he would release the completed diseases immediately. If he could not stop the humans, he would at least ensure that their alien allies died with them. "The containment systems are failing," Yeo reported as alarms blared throughout the facility. "He is going to release everything they have developed." Daeho looked around at the hundreds of humans they had rescued from the lower levels. Many were sick from years of experimentation. Some could barely walk. But all of them were free and all of them were determined to stay that way. "Can we stop the release?" he asked. "Maybe," Jun said, studying the facility's schematics. "But someone would have to get to the main control center and manually override the system, and that person would have to stay there to keep it working." "Where is the control center?" "At the bottom level, right next to the main research lab where the diseases are stored." Daeho understood what that meant. Whoever went down there would be exposed to every biological weapon the Vextar had created. They would die, but they could save everyone else. "I will go," he said. "No," Hana said firmly. "You have done enough. Someone else can—" "It has to be me," Daeho interrupted. "I started this when I refused to give up in that first facility. I need to finish it." But June put a hand on his shoulder. "Actually, it has to be me. I'm the only one who understands their computer systems well enough to keep the override working. But I will not be going alone." June looked around at the other humans in the corridor. "Anyone who has been exposed to their experiments might have some resistance to the diseases. We go together, or we do not go at all." In the end, 12 humans volunteered for the final mission. They were the ones who had been prisoners the longest, who had survived the most experiments, who had the best chance of living long enough to complete the task. As they descended to the lowest level of the facility, Daeho thought about the journey that had brought them here. It had started with one human who refused to give up, and it had become something that changed the galaxy. The control center was exactly where Jun had said it would be. The air was already thick with released toxins, and Daeho could feel his body beginning to react to the biological weapons. But his hands were steady as he helped Jun access the main computer. "How long can you keep the override working?" Daeho asked. "Long enough," Jun replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "Long enough for everyone to get out." Above them, the evacuation was proceeding smoothly. Every human had been found, every facility had been cleared. Captain Su's diversionary attack had been so successful that the Vextar fleet was still chasing shadows while the real rescue operations were completed. In the deepest part of the underground facility, Jun completed his work. The disease release had been stopped, the research data had been destroyed, and the Vextar biological weapons program was finished forever. One by one, the 12 volunteers who had made it possible collapsed from exposure to the toxins. But they had accomplished something unprecedented in galactic history. They had saved everyone. The final evacuation ship lifted off from Vextar Prime carrying the last of the human prisoners. In total, over 200,000 humans had been rescued from captivity. Not one person had been left behind. News of the successful rescue operation spread throughout the galaxy within days. The Vextar Empire, humiliated and stripped of their most terrifying weapons, found themselves facing revolts on dozens of worlds. Species that had lived in fear of Vextar expansion began forming.